203-660-10 is our number if you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds, and get on a good nutritional supplement program. We are here for you, 844-236-6010. If you have comment or success stories, or you just want to contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number on the bright side. Longevity products can be purchased off of brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And you can also click on the Join the Team link if you want to start a longevity business for a one-time $30 fee. You can be a part of the longevity family. Sign up to join the Brightside Ben team. Start a longevity business. Work out of your home. Be your own boss. Make as much or as little money as you care to make. Helping spread the word about the power and importance of a good nutritional supplement program. Click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And if you want to purchase our Truth Skin Health products, go to truthtreatments.com. I'm not even going to tell you about them. I've been talking about them now for years. Just go to truthreviewed.com. Check out our over 500, now close to 600, five-star reviews, truthreviewed.com. And you can purchase our Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com. We have an interesting guest coming up at the bottom of the hour. Sparrow Hart is the founder of Circles of Air and Stone, and he's going to talk to us about safety and why safety isn't all that. Everybody wants a safe life. Everybody wants to be safe. That's the primal imperative of the human being. But there's something higher than safety, and we're going to talk about that with Sparrow Hart. There are those who would take advantage of the human drive for safety, the human desire to be safe for their own ends, and I would present that we may be experiencing that manipulation as we speak. I was reading I didn't get to read this yet, but I printed off an interesting article I plan on reading. Headline: The economy is cratering. Welcome to the Trump depression. Americans' economy is like a patient who's bleeding out while doctors bicker over Band-Aids. This is the kind of fear-mongering that we are immersed in, that we're saturated in by some who are well-meaning and others who are not so well-meaning. If you watch the news and you feel crappy after you watch the news, don't watch the news. And I'm telling you, I know what's going on, and I still feel crappy after I watch the news. I force myself to watch it with my BS filter on. By the way, tomorrow we're going to be talking to a really cool guy who invented a game called Propaganda, where he teaches people to critical think. And that's really what we're dealing with here, folks, is an inability to critically think. En masse, not present company excluded, perhaps. But as a culture and as a society, we are dealing with an inability to critically think. This inability to critically think compels us or induces us to buy into what we're told. And if we're told that the world is coming apart, that the sky is falling, we're going to go into fear. What we really got to do is we got to learn to be internally motivated. What we really have to do is learn to trust ourselves. What we really have to do is learn to become our own authority. We want to learn how to become joyful from the inside. We want to learn to become healthy from the inside. And we want to learn to become informed from the inside. Intuition. We want to gain our information about reality, at least largely, from how we perceive it intuitively. We want to trust our intuition. We want to learn to take care of our health by trusting our bodies, by learning how to use nutrition, by learning how to use dietary strategies, by learning how to exercise. We want to learn to find our joy from inside. If we're trying to find our joy or our pleasure or our bliss from the outside, we're going to be at the mercy of whatever winds happen to be blowing. We want to learn to become internally motivated in terms of our joy and our bliss, in terms of our health and our happiness, and in terms of how we get information, how we're informed. We get informed largely through something called media. Media is something that's in the middle. It comes from the same root word as medicine. We get our health from medicine. We get our health and we get our information, and ultimately we get our peace of mind from the outside, from mediators. This is what the media is about. The media says, don't worry about understanding reality on your own. We'll tell you about it. This is what the government says. Don't worry about how the world is. We'll tell you about it. Don't worry about being safe on your own. We'll keep you safe. Everybody wants to keep us safe, and everybody wants to keep us happy, and everybody wants to keep us healthy. Everybody wants to keep us informed, and we're less informed and less happy and less healthy than ever before because we're trusting media. We're trusting middlemen. The media is a middleman. Doctors are middlemen. The government is a middleman to provide us with security, to provide us with health, to provide us with information. Learn to become internal. There's a concept that the Cree Indian had called Wetiko. Wetiko, Wetiko, is generally speaking, you think of it as a mind virus that keeps you entranced in a reality that is created for us, a consensus reality that's crafted for us that doesn't serve us. And the only way to protect ourselves from Wetiko, which is the same way to protect ourselves from viruses, is to learn to become immune on our own, to develop our immunity. As it turns out, stress is one of the best ways to build immunity. It's called hormesis in biology, Hormesis. Reading from the International Journal of Molecular Sciences, hormesis and defense of infectious disease. Infectious disease, global health burden remain associated with high social impact. Treatment of affected patients relies on antimicrobial agents. In this article, we will discuss evidence that by applying the concept of hormesis, that is intentional stress, we can develop a defense mechanism that decreases the extent of infection-associated tissue damage without directly targeting pathogenic microorganisms. This idea of targeting pathogenic microorganisms, this idea of attacking the outside invader, comes from germ theory. Louis Pasteur, who said that everything is caused by germs. This is when science officially, we've always been looking to the outside for diseases. They used to think it was evil winds or something from angels or little elves that shot dwarves or little dwarves that shot arrows at you. Today we have germs from the outside. Louis Pasteur gave us germ theory, and now we are all obsessed with killing microorganisms or protecting ourselves from them by wearing masks and by staying inside the house. Well, guess what, folks? Through stress, through hormesis, through infection, we get stronger. That's called immunity. But we don't allow that to occur because we're scared and because we're taught to be scared. I cannot wait to talk to our guest on Monday, who's going to tell us why it's absolutely a must to stay in the house. Why it's absolutely a must. He says you only want to go out of the house when you're for food, and then you come back in the house. He doesn't say run back in the house, but basically that's his idea. We're going to talk to him on Monday. And this is, he's not specifically uniquely ridiculous. This is just the general idea. We don't give our body a chance to develop immunity. We don't understand hormesis. We don't understand the nature of stress. We don't understand the nature of our inside ability, our built-in ability to handle whatever life happens to deal us. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back on the bright side right after this. We're back on the bright side. 844-236-6010 is our number. 844-236-6010. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we can help you do that. And let's see here. I'm not sure if we have any calls. Can't get my computer to work. We got Sparrow Heart coming up at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk about mythology, and we're going to talk about why you don't necessarily want to be too safe if you want to have a healthy, happy life. In biology, we call that idea hormesis. Hormesis says stress is your friend. Good stress. Eustress. E-U-S-T-R-E-S-S. Eustress is associated with longevity. I talked to a gal, a workout gal. She does Pilates, and she's really proud of being in great shape. And she called me up about her skin. And she sent me a picture of her skin. I looked at her skin. I could tell a lot by looking at people's skin. I've been doing this a long time, and I could tell a lot by looking at people's skin in pictures. And I could tell right away she was dealing with rashy appearance, oily skin. She was actually complaining about a condition called perioral dermatitis. Perioral dermatitis is when you have pimples or blemishes around your mouth. Perioral means around the mouth. Dermatitis is a rash. It's kind of like a rashy appearance around the mouth. In my experience in the last working with skin for 3+ decades, that's a condition that involves the digestive system, specifically the stomach, although also the intestines, stomach acid, replacing stomach acid, usually a condition called hypochlorhydria, Low stomach acid is associated with perioral dermatitis. But I could tell there was some food problems. So I started talking to her, and she says to me, well, I eat every 2 hours. First I said to her she should fast. So she should, so you can, she'd be able to tell if there's any food problems. You always want to fast before you're assessing your digestive issues. That way, if you have a food problem, it becomes more clear. It becomes more visible to you if you fast for a couple days. She says, no, I've never fasted. I said, not even for one day? She says, oh, I eat every 2 hours, she tells me. And she's an exercise specialist, a Pilates instructor. I'm in the best shape of my life, she tells me. I said, well, I didn't tell her this, but I'm thinking, if you're in the best shape of your life, what's with your perioral dermatitis and what's with your rash? Well, she meant she's in the best physical shape of her life because she's got muscles and she's got her musculoskeletal system is well developed. That's not how you assess how healthy you are. If you have perioral dermatitis, if you got blemishes around your mouth and a rash around your mouth, you're not healthy. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying that's just the facts. Plus, I could see other things on her skin. So she says, then she's going to, I said, well, fasting's really helpful. She says, then she does something and says something to me that I'm sure she said a million times to people, and they go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. She says, well, let me ask you something. If you have your car, could you go very far if you didn't have gas in your car? That's supposed to be a reason why you want to eat every 2 hours. Well, that's absolutely nonsensical. And I told her that kindly and gently. I said that your body's not a car. Your body has a mechanism for fueling itself when you don't eat. It's called ketogenesis. She says, whoa, yeah, I didn't know about that. So you ever hear of the ketogenic diet? Well, yeah, I heard of the ketogenic diet. Well, do you know what it is or how it works? No idea. Well, it turns out the ketones are produced under conditions of starvation. So you say, what? How could that possibly be? Well, the body's designed to handle starvation. Not complete starvation, but a day of starvation, or 2 days of starvation, or 3 days, or even 4 days of starvation. The body can handle it. And how does it handle it? By up-regulating metabolism, by producing energy more efficiently. This is what hormesis is about. Under conditions of duress, we become more efficient. But if we don't allow the duress to kick in for a day or 2 or 3, we don't get to leverage the power of these adaptive mechanisms. And that's what's going on in the world today, because we don't want to deal with a viral infection because we're so terrified of getting infected. We're willing to do all kinds of things and jump through all kinds of hoops and lose all of our freedoms so that we don't get to interact with this so-called microbe, with this bad guy, if you will, not understanding that by the very interaction, we become stronger, we become better, we become more efficient at life. And the powers that be, well-meaning or perhaps not, don't want us to know that. Anytime you hear an emergency room doctor, and I'm not ripping on doctors, but there's a lot of ER doctors and there's a lot of ICU doctors and nurses and medical professionals who just want to save us, who just want to protect us. Well, don't save us. Don't protect us. Let us take care of it ourselves. Let our immune systems take care of it ourselves. Let us have some stressors in our life, whether it's infectious stressors through microbes or whether it's psychological stressors or whether it's economic stressors, so we can become better. That's how the system works. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. Let's go to my friend Bob. I'm glad you called back, Bob.
Hey, Ben, how are you?
Hey, DNA, man. So you want to talk about DNA? I remember yesterday we talked about that. The DNA is so unbelievably fascinating, mysterious, and just one of the most incredible testimonies to the unfathomable mystery that we call life. And by the way, viruses, as you know, are DNA. What's with your phone, Bob? Bob.
Why? Bob. Is there a problem?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there's some kind of weird glitch. Yeah, we just got a bad connection. I think this happens a lot, Bob. But go ahead, tell me what your point what you were gonna say, and then maybe we can deal with it.
Okay. Well, I think I personally believe that the DNA kind of speaks to intelligent design.
Yeah. And
not just random order.
You mean the nucleotides didn't just get together on their own?
Exactly.
Okay. I'd say it. I have a hunch you're right, but let me ask you this. This is the problem I have with intelligent design. Intelligent design, I assume you mean an intelligent designer, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so who designed the intelligent designer?
Well, that's just a matter of faith.
Okay. All right. I'm good.
There's no way around
as long as you're
one.
honest about it. As long as you're honest about it. That's good. So why do we have to posit a designer? Why don't we just have faith that it just got put together? Why do we have to have faith in a designer? Why can't we have a faith in random? If it's just faith. If it's just faith and it's not based on anything, it's just we believe it. Why do we have to believe a designer? Why don't we just believe it got together randomly?
Well, I just get back to the fact that it's actual code. It's
No, answer the question. Don't dance around it, Bob. You're too smart to You're too smart to dance around it. So if you have faith in an intelligent designer, and you admit very, very nobly, I must say, that it's faith, why don't you have faith in random? How did you pick a designer to have faith and not random? I'm going to let you.
It's energy. I mean, what I see of it, that when we pass away,
I think your circuits are frying on that one, Bob, between me and you and whoever's listening. I think your circuits are frying. Because it's a good question, right?
Right.
Why do you happen to have faith in a designer? Why don't we just have faith that it all got together randomly in a bunch of clay? I don't know the answer to that. And that's, I think, the key right there. The best answer is I don't know. That's the best answer. Or if you want to have faith in a designer, you say it just makes me feel better. Because sometimes we can, to personalize things, to personify things, to anthropomorphize things, makes it easier to relate to. And I think that's what God is. God is us having a anthropomorphization of nature so that we can relate to it. And that's what the myth of Jesus is. It's the Son. That's why it says you can only get to the Father through the Son. You can only see this great mystery through something tangible. Because our mind has to have something tangible. Does that make sense? Our mind has to have something to relate to. And that's the whole idea of that. And I didn't want to get too much into theology because I love talking about the electromagnetic properties of DNA. Are you familiar with DNA computers?
I'll have to call you back because I have two unrelated questions over and above this.
Okay, so we'll talk when we come back. Thanks so much. I love speaking to you, Bob. You always got something interesting to say. You always make me think. All right, we got Sparrow Heart coming up in our next segment. We're going to talk about why you don't want to be too safe and how understanding myth can help us deal with what's going on. Okay, we're back on the bright side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7. On our archive page at brightsideben.com and benfuchsarchives.com. Also have lots of good news stories and blog posts and videos and lots of health information at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. And don't forget to take a look at our Truth Skin Health products, all formulated in my compounding pharmacy for healing the skin. Healing is beauty, and that's why we have over 500, going on 600 five-star reviews, all up at truthreviewed.com, and you can purchase our products at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. Okay, I am looking forward to speaking to our next guest. Sparrow Heart is a Vision Quest guide, I suppose you'd say. His website is questforvision.com, and he's got a very interesting perspective that we can all relate to, and on this program, at least I can relate to it, and I hope you can relate to it, and that's the idea that being too safe might actually be dangerous. I can't wait to talk to Sparrow Heart, author of Letters to the River, A Guide to a Dream Worth Living. Please welcome to the bright side, Sparrow Heart. Hello, Sparrow.
Hey, good morning, Ben. How are you?
I'm very well. It's good to talk to you. And this morning we were discussing a concept called hormesis. Have you ever heard that term, hormesis, Hormesis? It's a biological term.
No, I haven't. What's hormesis?
Hormesis means that when a system is under stress, the biological system is stressed out, it gets better. Starvation, fasting, exercise, these are all examples of hormesis. Trimming a leaf back, trimming your leaves back on a bush to make them bushier is an example of hormesis. Treating the skin with exfoliating agents, these are all examples of hormesis. And in a way, we're having a sort of psychological version of that with what's going on today. And that's why your blurb on RTIR was so interesting to me. Why too safe a life is dangerous. So I want to talk to you about Vision Quest. I want to talk to you about Letters to the River. But before we get going, in a nutshell, why is it seems contradictory, right? Safety should be good. Why is too safe a life dangerous?
Well, I think because people basically are not fragile. We're a system that's anti-fragile, and it's very much like what you call with hormesis. Muscles get stronger when you stress. When you lift weights and you stress them, they actually respond and get stronger.
You said something. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, your immune system gets stronger the more microbes you're exposed to, and it's kind of like children these days have so many allergies because they don't play outside, they don't get exposed, and so they have very weak immune systems because immune systems develop like muscles do, or like problem solving does. The more stresses or challenges we're exposed to, the better we grow.
So what do you think when you watch the news and you hear these emergency room doctors saying you have to wear a mask and everybody's got to be staying inside and we're locking things down and we're shutting down businesses and putting people in jail if they don't quarantine? What do you think in your head, knowing what you know about this idea of the importance of stress, or as they say, eustress, EUSTRESS? What goes to your head when you watch this, when you see that and hear that in the world?
Well, I don't have just one response. I certainly feel like, gosh, sure, if you're working in an emergency room, who knows what's walking through the door? And so I can certainly understand it in an emergency room situation. But generally, most people, myself, I assume you, and many other people, don't live in an emergency room. We actually live a life, and virtually everything we do has risk. It has some risk, and so generally, I think to me, there's always I will do simple and easy things. Sure, I'll wash my hands when I have to go to a store. I mean, it's all mandated now. I'll wear a mask, and it doesn't bother me. But I'm not going to wear a mask outside. I'm not going to try and exercise or go on a bike ride with a mask on. I think that's basically overprotection, and in some sense, it's it's not good for us. I don't think it's even that good for us physically, but I also think psychologically, living in fear is not a way to live.
Okay, you said something really, really interesting, and there's a really cool book called Anti-Fragile. Tell us a little bit about what that means and what an anti-fragile system is. Have you heard of the book, by the way, Anti-Fragile, by I forgot the guy's name, Nassim something.
Yeah, it's something like, it's something like Nassim?
Nassim Taleb or something.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's a really cool book. So tell us about that.
Okay, so we could say there's three basic states we could describe: fragile, resilient, and anti-fragile. Now, fragile is something like, if you've got a 95-year-old grandmother with respiratory problems, she's fragile. Most any stress could easily kill her. She's fragile. Like an antique teacup is fragile. Mm-hmm. Now, and then there's things that are resilient. A rubber ball is resilient. You drop it, it doesn't break like that teacup. So there are systems that are resilient. But anti-fragile refers to systems and beings that actually, when they are stressed or exposed to difficulties, they actually grow stronger. So, and there's been a lot of studies about that. But basically, human beings are at their core anti-fragile.
Love it. And human systems, biological systems. The heart is anti-fragile. The liver is anti-fragile. The lungs are anti-fragile. The circulatory system is anti-fragile. Muscle, the body in general is anti-fragile. And I think that we don't really get taught that. We only think there's either fragile or not fragile. You call it resilient. We think of those only those two. But this idea of hormesis and eustress and anti-fragility, it's something that we can take advantage of if we understand it, correct?
Absolutely. And did you hear of that allergy to peanuts study that was done in the early 2000s?
Where they gave them a little bit of allergen and they got stronger? I'm guessing. Well, in the 1990s was the first time, peanut allergies kind of hit the press, and then all sorts of parents were not giving their kids peanuts. But they did a study. They had 600 babies. They divided them into 300 each, and one set of parents was told to give their kids some form of peanut butter 3 times a week. And the other set of parents was told to actually not expose their kids to peanut butter. 5 years later, the kids that had exposed to peanut butter, 3% of them had very mild allergies to peanuts. But and the rest of them?
The group that wasn't exposed to peanuts, almost 20% had severe allergies to peanuts.
Yeah. So introducing a stressor into the system taught the system or encouraged or somehow induced the system to become stronger and more and better able to handle the stressor. Had to be introduced to the stressor. So do you have kids? Do you have kids, Sparrow?
Yeah, I have one daughter.
How did you raise her? Did you raise her with this idea of being able to leverage anti-fragility, not to be scared of things that were potentially dangerous?
Yeah, and I can tell you one story that kind of illustrates that well. When my daughter was 3 or 4, out in the backyard, we had an enormous birch tree, one of the biggest birch trees around, and she was 3 or 4, and that had this huge limb that came out about 4 feet up, and she wanted me to boost her up on it. So I boosted her up.
Sparrow, we got to take a break. I want to hear the story, and we'll come back from commercial. We'll talk about that. I also want to talk to you about Vision Quest as well. Sparrow Hart, his website is questforvision.com. We'll be back with more Sparrow on the Bright Side right after this. On the bright side, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're talking to Sparrow Hart. His website is questforvision.com. Sparrow, when we were discussing hormesis and anti-fragile systems, my mind immediately went to how we raise children. That's why I asked you if you had any kids, and then you were telling us a story. Continue, and then we'll talk about Vision Quest.
So here we are. My daughter, her name's Prairie. She's between 3 and 4, and I've boosted her up to this low level on the tree, and she starts climbing up, this little kid. And, of course, pretty soon she's up, maybe 12, 14 feet. And, of course, and I'm standing under her, craning, making sure I'm directly under her in case she doesn't fall. And at some point, and my neck is getting sore from staring up, and at some point I just say to her, Prairie, would you do me a favor? And she says, what? And I said, please don't go any higher. And she says, why? At that point, most any parent I know would say, because it's dangerous.
Or because I said so.
Yeah, that's not what I told her, because I had made a commitment never to lie to her. And so and she said, why? And I said, because I'm getting scared. And then she said, why? And I said, because I told her I had this commitment to protect her and her safety, and I was doing that, and it was making me nervous, her being up there. And she just, at some point, she just stopped, thought a bit about it for, 20 seconds, and then said, okay. But it's like, I did not make the world scary for her. I didn't say because it's dangerous. And I think as parents, we do that all the time. We lie to her. We lie to them, say, oh, don't do this, it's dangerous, and it makes them scared of the world. But in fact, we're just not wanting to deal with our own fears. That's
great. That's great, because there's hardly any parents that would ever say that it's about me. It's about, we always say it's about you. We're worried for you. We don't want you to hurt yourself. We don't realize that we're just dealing with our own issues or not dealing with our own issues around fear and around danger.
Yeah, and it has all sorts of other benefits, too, as well as not making her scared of the world. Yeah. We started really early on for her to become aware of, other people have needs, too, and they're going to express. Other people have needs, and I said, you don't have to respond to them, but starting early on, we developed a relationship where each of us had needs, and I had to obviously explain it at one point in a 3 or 4 year old way, but and so, we never got into any kind of really big conflicts around that, because it wasn't a power game where I say, it's dangerous. And then that's what
you're her savior. And you're here to save her.
When they're 12 or something, they say, it's not dangerous, and I like doing it. And then all of a sudden you're in a power struggle.
So how did this kind of upbringing, how did she turn out with this kind of upbringing? What was her relationship to fear and to danger and to safety?
Well, I'm amazed. She's just has always had this idea of if there's something she wants to do, she never worries about failure, and she just says, I'm going to give it my best shot. And she says, I'm going to give it my best shot, and if it doesn't work out, I can live with that. But I'm not going to avoid taking my best shot because I'm afraid it might not work out. So she's really curious and willing to take risks in life, risks of getting rejected, risks of turned down.
That's a great job. That's the parents. I think the number one goal of a parent is to have a kid who does have an attitude like that, and who is not running from everything and scared of their own shadow. And we have we have a society where everybody seems to be collectively present. There's exceptions, of course, but collectively we're scared of our own shadows.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. So how does Letters to the River fit into all of this?
Well, Letters to the River, I mean, that book was about really how to, in some sense, how to create a heroic journey out of your life, and it's kind of, it's about some of the issues that we have to face. And so that was a book about 9 big core issues. It's just, one is our relationship between the known and the unknown. We always want to stay in the known and avoid the unknown because the unknown brings up fear. So that book was all about how to take a journey into the unknown. And certainly a lot of the teachings of that book was based on my work leading Vision Quest, which is at its core a heroic journey and a kind of, in a very major way, a facing the unknown, not just the unknown in the world, but the unknown in yourself. So, what exactly is a Vision Quest? Well, I guess in a way to make it more understandable to your viewers, there are 3 core elements of a Vision Quest. So it's usually a time where you go out into nature, into wilderness. And so in the way I lead it, it's 4 days and nights. You're in wilderness. You're alone. You don't bring any things like books or entertainment or smartphones. So you're in wilderness, you're alone, and you're fasting. No food. So, and the people are going to immediately have a response to that. But what I would say to make it more understandable is Christ went into the wilderness and fasted for 40 days. Buddha walked into the forest in 500 BC and fasted under the Bodhi tree. Moses climbed to the top of Mount Sinai and fasted, to speak to God. Muhammad went into a cave and fasted, and that was the start of Islam. It's this kind of core archetypal process that's been done since human beings were human beings, where you have to deeply have an encounter with, on the one hand, we could call it the outer world, nature, which created us, but also have a deep encounter with our inner world and all that we project onto nature. Because when we're out there and alone and in nature with no distractions, it's essentially we meet ourselves in ways that we virtually never do when we're in social life and constantly talking and coming back to our egos and our status and our personalities. So, is this something you do? You teach people? You do one-on-one with people? Or you do it with? How do you what is the logistics of it exactly? I do it in small groups. So it's 8 would be the maximum, but the groups are usually about 6, and it's an 11-day program. So there's 3.5 days of preparation, a lot of teachings, not just teachings about the physical plane parts of it, like what to expect from fasting and what are the animals you might need in this or that wilderness, but also about different rituals or practices that get you deeply in touch with your core feelings and longings and desires. So there's 3.5 days of that, and then there's the 4-day and night solo fasting in wilderness, and then after that, there's 3 days, which are really going into the story of what happened to you. What did you encounter in terms of animals? What were your dreams? What insights did you have? And there's a lot of process of how to integrate that and then bring it back into the life you left behind and plant it so it'll grow there. Let me just understand this. That middle period is 4 days by yourself, no food, and no human contact. You're completely alone. Yep. Yeah, you have water, but no food. You're totally alone. Yeah. Huh. What do people experience? Like, what's the general consensus, or is there a general consensus after that? Well, I mean, people come for different intentions, but a lot. One of the core intentions is that some people come with is, I want to find my purpose in life. Why I'm here. What I really want. Not what my parents or my educational system what the culture said I should want. What do I really want out of life? So some people come to really find their purpose and what they're here for. Some people come because they want to put an end. It's called a rite of passage. They want to put an end to one part of their life and move into the next phase. And those could be external ends, like I've been divorced now for a year and a half, but I haven't moved on, so they want to make a ritual final ending of that previous relationship. Or it could be for internal reasons. I've lived my whole life as a victim, or I've lived my whole life just trying to please other people, and I don't want to live that way anymore. So
okay, so we got about a minute now. How do people get a hold of you? If people are interested, what do they need to do? Anybody can do this, I assume. And what's the cost, by the way?
The cost is $12.95.
And then have people just email you?
Well, the best way would actually go on the website, www.quest4vision, all lowercase, and that's FOR, quest4vision.com. And it'll give a description of all the various programs, the schedule. It'll have contact, so people can click on that and send me an email. So that would be...
Thank you so Sparrow, we're out of time, buddy. I appreciate it. But thank you so much. The book is The Vision Quest, a guide's training, and also Lessons to the River. If you're interested in more information, go to quest4vision.com. Thanks, Sparrow. We'll talk to you again, buddy.
Hey,
that was Sparrow Hart, and that... Bye-bye. And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening to The Bright Side, friends. I am Pharmacist Ben. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to you all later, folks. Bye for now.